This channel is not sponsored by Ring or its affiliates, but does recommend that you seek proper home security installation for safety purposes. Now on to the story. I don't know where it came from, so I almost deleted the file. At this point, I'm not sure whether it would have been a good idea or not. I am pretty certain that things would have gone bad either way. Why you need to install your Ring right now. That was the subject line in an email I wasn't expecting. I just moved into a new apartment in a new city after seeking a new start, and it's the first time I've ever lived alone. My parents had insisted that I install a Ring immediately, so my first assumption was that the email was a standard message from the company that all first-time buyers get. I was wrong. There was no text in the email. It only contained an attachment called 08251913120922.mov. That seemed like an obvious candidate for trash, but its tiny thumbnail caught my eye. It looked like an image of a human face, but just wrong enough to warrant a second glance. Paranoia kept me from clicking it, but then fear of missing something important pushed me forward. What harm could there be in checking? I opened it. I flinched as the face filled my screen. It was leaning into the Ring camera, standing on a porch I didn't recognize, and smiling. I couldn't tell the age or gender of the person, who was shaved bald and wearing white makeup on their face and scalp. They smiled and stared with bloodshot eyes, seemingly giddy and not moving. The video feed had no sound of any kind, but that only made the picture even more unnerving. I felt like a giant spider's hairy, bristling leg was raking my spinal column from the inside. I wanted to click away, but felt frozen. I stared at the face for several seconds, as it held almost completely rigid, but with only the slightest movements betraying the fact that it was a video feed and not a still shot. I'd almost decided to click away when the video switched. This clip showed the door opening and a woman, presumably the home's occupant, stepping onto the now empty porch. She looked similar to me in height and build, and was probably about my age as well. Her face was etched with deep concern, bordering on fear. The woman wrapped her arms around her chest and shuddered as she glanced around the porch as though she were looking for something. My blood chilled as the video switched to another shot of the white makeup face. It was even closer to the Ring camera now. This video took place during the night. The face was panting heavily, mouth open in a smile, as a thin glob of drool gathered on their lower lip. A few seconds later, the video feed switched again. The occupant was talking with two bored-looking police officers. She pointed a shaking finger at the Ring camera, then toward her face, as though indicating the way the stranger had leaned into it. One of the police officers lifted his palms and shrugged his shoulders, as the other stared bored down the street. This video ended with the first officer handing the woman a business card before the two of them left. I jumped slightly as the next video clip popped up suddenly. The white face was now black. It was licking the camera furiously, its wide, pink tongue pressed so hard against the camera that I could see taste buds with every lap. The next video showed two different police officers talking with the woman on her porch as she cried. The woman seemed annoyed. They left again without exchanging any information. The next video featured the white face slamming its head against the camera. It was nighttime again. Tiny, blurry flecks of blood marred the screen. That quickly switched to a daylight scene with a swarm of uniformed people milling around the porch. As I looked closer, I could see that most of them were paramedics. The front door burst open, and a gurney rolled out. Though bloody, I recognized the homeowner's lifeless face, tilted to the side and staring vacantly into the camera. That's where the video ended. I held still long enough to hear my own pulse. I jumped when the doorbell rang. I cursed under my breath for failing to finish the ring installation, which would have allowed me to see the stranger from my phone. I didn't relish the idea of confronting my visitor, but was more terrified at the prospect of leaving things a mystery. Slowly, I rose from the chair and padded across the living room. I don't know why I was trying to be quiet, since I was determined to open the door, but it seemed to make sense at the time. Step. 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 My own front door stood in front of me, now menacing instead of familiar. I considered the childhood wisdom of running to my bed and hiding under the covers where no attacker had the power to harm me. But I stood my ground. With a shaking hand, I grabbed the knob and turned. Taking a deep breath, I opened the door and looked out to the porch. It was empty. I exhaled a sigh of relief. That sigh cut off. I leaned in closer to the Ring camera. I had installed it, but not yet activated the software. This fact would not be apparent to any potential visitors. My heart leapt to my throat as I silently begged it not to be true. But right before me, coating the Ring camera in the exact shape of an eye socket, was a thick layer of white makeup. Wow, that was a good one, right? Now is a good time to install any software and any security system that you have if you've forgotten. Also, if you like this narration, go ahead and take a loan out from the like button without any intention of paying it back. And ring that bell if you'd like to receive a notification anytime a narration posts. Remember to stay safe, and if you ever see a figure staring at you through your Ring camera, just know, that's me.